Are your salespeople always making excuses? Inflation, tariffs, politics, the market is uncertain, remote work, Gen Z. It seems like something's always getting in their way. But let's be honest, salespeople have been selling through wars and recession and all sorts of disruption forever. What's really getting in their way? You don't need to incentivize your salespeople. They're already incentivized. They're salespeople. They understand their goals and their numbers and their incentives. What they don't understand is the burden of their own potential. So let me explain. Each time we achieve something, we think that's amazing, it's exciting, it's humbling, it's wonderful. The work that we've done has opened more doors than we ever thought possible. But inside of those doors, we then see a potential, we see a possibility, we see a version of ourselves that we never thought possible. And it's in this moment that we think, oh, I think I want more. But then something funny happens. We're stuck in this liminal space between who we've been and who we're becoming. And it's in this moment that doubt and uncertainty and imposter syndrome, envy, exhaustion, burnout, all start to sneak in. So that success has been wonderful, but it's also kind of hell. And I like to call this space Wonderhell. And Wonderhell is where the burden of your potential walks on in, unpacks its backpack and asks, hey, what you got for me, huh? What are you going to do with this newfound potential that you didn't even know existed last year, last month, or even last week? And that's what your salespeople are experiencing every time you bring them in and you give them their next new goal. They go, wow, I achieved this last year, but the number just reset to 0. Can I do it again? They're excited. They see this potential. They've envisioned themselves as this person, but they're a little intimidated by that space between where they've been and where they're going. So as a serial entrepreneur and somebody whose responsibility was making it rain for my company, literally sitting in the same seat as the salespeople, I found myself in Wonderhell multiple times in my career, and it was exhausting. It was hard, and I was muscling through it alone. And then one day, I decided I needed to find a way out of Wonderhell. I couldn't live this way forever. And so I decided to talk to some people. I talked to 100 different glass ceiling shatterers, Olympic medalists, startup unicorns, CEOs, creatives, philanthropists, activists, and everyday people like you and like me, all to figure out a way out of Wonderhell. But each of them also told me that at every age and at every stage, they found themselves dealing with the impossibility of the dreams that they had. They wanted to get there, but they didn't quite know how to manage it. So there are 3 things that I learned from the people who I spoke to. Turns out you don't get out of Wonderhell. You learn how to thrive in it instead. The first thing that they did is that they learned to embrace their ambition. Instead of saying, oh, wow, I haven't done this before, they simply said, oh, wow, I haven't done this before. And just by doing that, they were able to change this voice inside their head from a limitation to an invitation. Second, they learned to renegotiate their relationship with doubt by getting in touch with their values. Because it turns out that customers don't buy your process, they buy your promise. They want to know that we care about what they care about. And when doubt loses its grip to contagious confidence, the customers can't help but want to buy what we're selling. Finally, they had to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because Wonderhell loves itself a repeat visitor. People who I spoke to who thrived in Wonderhell did it by welcoming discomfort. And they did it by always putting themselves back in a beginner's mindset. Not just calling the same old safe targets that they've called year after year after year, but asking themselves, who are the bigger targets? Who are the ones who are gonna help them meet their goal? And by doing that, they were able to keep themselves thinking, what is the highest and best use of my time? Because the people that I spoke to told me that the highest and best use of their time was to do what only they could do. So the next time your salespeople come to you and they're feeling disincentivized and disengaged, don't just yell at them and talk to them about the hell of the work, crush it, and rise and grind, hustle harder, bro. Instead, paint for them a picture of all they can be, who they can embody, and what wonder might look like. Invite them to sit in that deep discomfort that's the only path to growth. When they learn to embrace Wonderhell, they see each success not as a final destination where they can stop and rest on their laurels, but as a portal that invites them to all that is possible. They innovate, they connect more deeply with clients, and they come from this place of limitless possibility. So next year, when they come back to your sales kickoff, they're not intimidated by these goals, but they're excited by them.